In the last video, we covered a lot of aspects of a great phone called the Google Nexus 4. In this video, we're going to dig a bit deeper into what was then a great phone and what is now a legacy for every device to learn from. The Google Nexus 4 was once Google's flagship across the world. It was available everywhere and was marketed Google's device even though it was technically made by LG. I know it was available everywhere because it was available in my country, which is a rarity in itself. The Nexus phone series was the baseline for other companies to follow in order to stay within Google's standards. As such, Google used to release Nexus devices for a low price. The 16GB model of the Nexus 4 was available for $400 here in my country. That means that it's even cheaper in the US itself. This price tag made it very appealing to anyone willing to dive into app development. And since the Nexus line was popular amongst ROM developers too, it was the phone to get for custom ROM support. For $400, you'd get a 4.7-inch HD screen, 2 gigs of RAM, an 8-megapixel camera, and Qualcomm's latest CPU at the time, the Snapdragon S4 Pro. This gave the users a sense of performance, while Samsung at the time used to give Android such a bad image in terms of performance due to how heavy their TouchWiz skin was on its devices. The 4.7-inch IPS LCD HD screen was decent, even though it later showed some screen retention issues. The 2 gigs of RAM was very impressive at the time, allowing for many apps to stay running in the background, and the CPU gave the performance everybody craved. So now that we've covered the basics, let's check out what you can truly squeeze out of the Nexus 4. The Nexus 4 still holds up to today's performance standards. You get practically zero freezes and reboots even after all these years of abuse. And you still barely get any lag or stutters while multitasking. Of course, big games have improved in terms of graphics and now target the more powerful bunch of smartphones. So don't expect perfect 60 FPS gaming out of it. Though with a bit of performance tweaks, you can get a bit of a boost in speed at the cost of battery life. The camera is considered complete and utter trash now that we're spoiled by the Pixel 2's camera quality. But even back then, it wasn't considered the best in the world. It was decent at most, a bit too grainy for some people's taste. But again, we have to remember why the phone existed in the first place. It was for developers to get a decent device to work with and make apps for. You don't need the best camera in the world in order to test your application's camera support. But even when we keep that idea in mind, for $400 you still get a very beautiful design, which really contradicts my previous idea. The metal-like frame, the soft touch material all around the phone, and the back. What you get for $400 is something that, at the time, was a rarity. Samsung ruled the world with plastic backs, and some other OEMs started using all-metal body like the HTC M7. The combination of materials the Nexus 4 has makes the phone holder feel like he's holding a premium-priced flagship phone. Did you see the notification LED as well? It's the best LED light I've ever seen on a phone. Very subtle and fades around the edges. Truly amazing. The Nexus 4's glass back allowed for something a lot of us have missed over the years: wireless charging. Just get any Qi compatible wireless charger and throw your Nexus phone on it and it'll charge. Don't throw too hard though, since it's a glass back, and you'll be very sad when you see such a beautiful bling ruined by a crack. In 2012, this was the best bang for the buck, and after 6 years, it still holds up to today's standards software-wise. Remember how I told you that it was very appealing to ROM developers? This allowed the Nexus 4 to keep getting updates straight from AOSP, even though Google stopped officially supporting the phone after Android 5.1.1. What you can still get with the Nexus 4 is Android 8.1 Oreo, rooted with Magisk and themed with Substratum. This just proves that the Nexus 4 still supports the latest trends of XDA tweaks and mods. But is the latest and greatest still works on such an old device? Amazingly, yes. if you do some necessary tweaks. You can disable animations, limit the amount of background processes, and you can get smooth performance out of it even today. It can still be used as a daily driver, though with a bit of compromise, of course. It's not the latest and greatest anymore, don't expect too much of it, but it still works, whereas other devices from other OEMs which add a skin to their Android just plainly died, both in performance and in software development. The Nexus 4 is a survivor. After Google started getting some publicity from its Nexus line, the Nexus 1, S, and Galaxy Nexus, it released a phone that now represents the peak of the Android phone market. This phone received updates from Android 4.2.2 to Android 5.1.1. Google, through that phone, showed how a good company can maintain a device and literally change every single asset of its software. Android's reputation for good design blew up after the 5.0 update. That was the switch between holo and material design, and the Nexus 4 was able to handle it without a hiccup. I'm sure that when Google releases the next version of Android, the Nexus 4 will get that kind of love from the community, even if it is 6 years old. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like the video if you like what you saw, and subscribe for more content like this. This was Rawad on XDA TV, and I will see you soon.